everything turned to gold for you. It's my imagination. It must have been a wonderful feeling all the time. How long will this go on? What do you think? Do you have fear that sometimes this music will not go on? It will not be a good way.
I think we had quite a lot of struggling times maybe before we released even the first album, because the band was together since the age of 16, really 17. We went to college for a little bit, but we kind of didn't really complete it properly, and we really wanted to work in music. So from the age of like 17, 18, 19, 20 really, even 21, those years was quite a difficult time for the band, because we didn't really have money, so we had to do jobs, various jobs, to keep the money for the band, so we could make recordings. It wasn't really until we started releasing albums and touring that we started to sort of have an enjoyment of the process. It was almost like the first few years was very much a struggle. Yeah. But yeah, we've been lucky in a way that I think every album seems to be I think musically better or improving from the previous album. I think that we are constantly growing, and I think that and the amount of people which know us seems to be growing with each album. So I think that's something that's quite unusual.
Where will this lead to?
I don't know. I mean, maybe at some point it's going to go, and then go, or it could just keep going. I don't know. But I'm sure we are due a failure. I think at some point. Yeah, I'm not sure what, but it's going to come soon. I'm not sure. Maybe this album, maybe the next one. But I think we are prepared for it.
So, listening to your new album, the single Uprising, they will not force us, they will not control us. Who is they?
Who is they? Yeah, I suppose. Let me think. When I was making the album, I was reading a couple of books. I read a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman, which is quite interesting, which talks about how these very large corporations basically exploiting the world, exploiting people, exploiting nature. So I suppose you could say they is kind of orientated towards what in that book he refers to as the corporatocracy. The idea which that there is like a corporate power which is above our governments, and which have a lot of influence over our governments, And sometimes I think I watching the situation in England as well, with the MP scandal and the banking crisis and all of these things. It's very easy to understand, I think, why young people especially, or I'm not that young anymore, but younger people have no real trust for politicians and for very powerful, wealthy people, because they feel that they are doing something very against nature, And so I think they is kind of a general reference to these people.
And how does it work, this kind of control? If they attempt to control us, how is this working? It's just by finance?
It works. I mean, it works in many subtle ways. One of the main ways it works is that in our democrat. I don't know too much about the German political situation, but in England, the political system is where you vote for a representative, like in a constituent area, and this person represents you in Parliament, and you really hope this person votes for policies that you agree with, But what often happens is these people are very influenced by lobbyists, these people that work for large corporations. For example, the situation in Scotland at the moment, in England, with this prisoner which was sent back to Libya, and people are researching, and they are finding out that in fact there was like a deal that was done. This is always the case, There's many deals which are done, which are really the political classes, they regard the general public like a cattle, like a lot of animals or something, which don't really have much ability to think, and I think this is frustrating, So it happens in this way, really. I think it happens just because when people become powerful, they often have a disregard for public opinion.
One could say you're rather close to a big company too, like Time Warner.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, well, I live in a capitalist society, and these are the channels are used for communication. So if you want to do art which is truly subversive, I suppose you end up being very obscure. But I'm doing something which is much more wider, appealing to wider. I would hope. And I think that this is the best method to use, So what can we do? We live in this world, We are born into it, We are born in bondage, as we say. But you make the best of what you have.
Do you feel in control by Warner, or do you feel, well, that's a way to bring some subversive text to the public?
I think the reason we have evolved into where we are is because we've always maintained 100% control over every aspect that we are doing. You know, everything from the concerts we play, the type of promotional work we do, the type of music we record. I mean, fundamentally, the music we write, the music we record is 100% our choosing. We have no interference. We had one moment of interference on the second album with an American record label, Maverick, who tried to change the way we played music, and we had a big argument with them, and we separated company with them. We worked with Warner's because the kind of deal we have is we have total control over everything. You know, they have allowed us to do what we want. So that's the most important thing as for any artist, I think.
And you titled the album Resistance. Is it what it's about? Resistance? Try to resist? How can a single person resist?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's when you. During the making of the album, there was things happening like lots of protests in England, you know, and I found it interesting all the way the media covers protesting sometimes is very negative, you know, and the police as well are always trying to make an aggravation, to make a violent aspect, you know. Peaceful protest can be very, very powerful, you know. I think if people really wanted to change something, they could change it just in a very peaceful way, you know, just everybody, you know, refuse to pay the taxes, or everybody refuse to go to work for a week, or you know, something. I don't know. But you know, I think that it's. I mean, it seems like around with the internet, it seems like in the last few years there's been a lot of people like me really who are thinking more about political things that I never used to think about. You know, and I think it's. Because when I went to school, I remember like I never had any lessons who taught me about the political system. You know, it was always like talking about history, or talking about English, or French, or different languages, or maths and science and stuff. But I don't remember there being any lessons about politics. You know, and it seems so strange that our schooling system, I don't know about Germany, but in England the schooling system seems to be ignores politics very much. I mean, for children, you know, for young children. I mean, of course you can specialise. So. I suppose with the internet, I think it's been a chance for, over the last few years, for people like me who are not really that interested in politics to be more engaged, or more able to see what's going on around the world, much more than when you used to. You know.